So the runners about to come forward here. Flags are up. Best of luck. But they're off for the bet@racinguk.com handicap hurdle, and very slow to get going Notebook, who has been a little bit troublesome at the start in the past, has given the others a good 10 or 12 length start there as they make the run to flight number 1. At almost a wave of 4 here with Skyward's Reward away well. Walsingham Grange with the white face likewise, and then on the left is Giacano, far right at Perseid, and the red and white colour jacket of Gran Maestro is also in this leading group as they hop up and over flight number 2. A little break then back to Corroboree in a black coloured jacket worn by Richard Johnson, who seeks his 3rd winner of the day. Strike West in purple and white colours is next, at 2 or 3 lengths back to First Up, and a much longer gap back to Notebook, who's got a lot of catching up to do as they came up and over flight number 3, and the whole field, including Notebook, are absolutely fine across it. So it is Gran Maestro who's now picked up the running under Ryan Winks and goes on by 3 parts of a length over Walsingham Grange in 2nd, wide of that pairing at Skyward's Reward. Then Perseid over towards the inside of Giacano, working deeper out is Corroboree. Then comes Strike West as they race into the turn. First up is the back marker of the main group, and still a very lengthy gap back to Notebook, who is in at last place, around about 9 or 10 lengths back in last at this stage. Notebook, as they venture out onto the circuit, and down the far side of the track they'll have flights at 4, 5 and 6 standing in their way. So Gran Maestro leading the field by 3/4 of a length over Walsingham Grange in 2nd. Perseid nipping up the inside to go into 3rd place now, with out a bit wider Skyward's Reward. They're being chased through by a mildly improving Giacano up in between runners, as they now are on the approach to the 4th flight. Gran Maestro, Walsingham Grange. Giacano, Skyward's Reward. Perseid over towards the inside, then chases Corroboree from Strike West. In behind runners is First Up, and Notebook has now latched himself onto the tail of the field under Amy Waugh, only 2 or 3 lengths behind the second last horse now, as they race on past halfway and on towards number 5. They jump 9 in all. It is Gran Maestro with Skyward's Reward not overly tidy at that one, but came through in any case to draw alongside, with up in between them Walsingham Grange still travelling powerfully as they reach the final flight going down the back straight. Jumping it in at 4th was Giacano, who was just nudged away on landing, with improving now Corroboree in the black jacket up towards the outside. Then Strike West from First Up. Perseid has rather lost his pitch and only has Notebook behind, but there's now only around about 6 or 7 lengths between the pair as they meet the end of the back straight and begin the left-handed swing back towards home. Gran Maestro and Ryan Winks, perhaps they're just slowing things down a little bit going down the far straight, but is accelerating again now, and once again is 2 lengths to the good. Walsingham Grange is in 2nd and has never been too far away, with right around the outside in to 3rd place now Notebook under Amy Waugh, who's made rapid improvement to go prominent. Back in behind those is Giacano, then Skyward's Reward, who's now being niggled along. Corroboree is being driven hard back in behind them as they're homeward bound. It is Notebook on the outside of Gran Maestro, Walsingham Grange, 2 or 3 lengths back to Strike West, who's now driven along 4th. That one moving on ahead of Giacano, and the others all with plenty on. They're up and over the 3rd flight from home. Gran Maestro still travelling quite well up ahead. On the left is Notebook, who's run a really good race. He gave away so much ground at the start. On the far right is Walsingham Grange at 2 out, still just Gran Maestro with the lead under Ryan Winks to Walsingham Grange, who's now driven along the far side by Keelan Woods. Notebook and Amy Waugh are back in 3rd, but are a bit one pace now as they race in between the last 2 flights. It is Gran Maestro to Walsingham Grange, then Notebook. Strike West is 4 lengths adrift of that trio. Jumping the last is back in 4th. Now Walsingham Grange begins to get on terms with Gran Maestro. Notebook back in 3rd, a really creditable run in the circumstances, but it's Gran Maestro fighting hard here to try and repel Walsingham Grange. Gran Maestro is a willing partner for Ryan Winks. Gran Maestro goes on to win. In 2nd place Walsingham Grange, Notebook in 3rd, and in the end they cleared away again from Strike West in 4th.
First, number 1, Gran Maestro. 2nd, number 2. 3rd, number 9. And the 4th horse, number 4. The full result of the third race, the bet at racinguk.com handicap hurdle. First, number 1, Gran Maestro.
It is Gran Maestro to Walsingham Grange, then Notebook. Strike West is 4 lengths adrift of that trio, jumping the last is back in 4th. Now Walsingham Grange begins to get on terms with Gran Maestro. Notebook back in 3rd, a really creditable run in the circumstances, but it's Gran Maestro fighting hard here to try and repel Walsingham Grange. Gran Maestro is a willing partner for Ryan Wings. Gran Maestro goes on to win in 2nd place.